isn't just about power. It's about giving us the hope to rebuild and reclaim the world we lost.
What is up, film fans? It's Epic Film Guys here. It's Nick,
Justin,
and we just got back from a 10 p.m. showing of Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. And Justin, I'm going to jump right in, and I want to know how you felt about those damn dirty apes.
Well, they're not really all that dirty. They're quite clean in the film.
They are quite clean in the film. Clean
as in the best CGI that I have probably ever seen in any live-action motion picture. Not to get off on a tangent on that immediately, but this film, in my opinion, is what makes summer blockbusters. Even more so, to go a little bit further, this film is a touch above that. It takes all of the elements of the original Planet of the Apes movies, brings it modern day, and is very seriously made. Great writing, great script, great direction, great cinematography, and above all, Andy Serkis, man.
Andy Serkis
makes this film.
Who gets top billing in this film, which I was incredibly happy about when the credits started to roll. Performance as Caesar is amazing. It's absolutely fantastic, and the fact that it doesn't get as much credit as it deserves is really criminal, especially when you watch a lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff.
Oh,
and you
yeah,
see
for sure
how perfectly Serkis emotes this character, and then just see it brought to life through that great CG with the mocap. It's beautiful. It's really, really fantastic.
It is.
And I love it.
In my opinion, this is probably the best sequel to a large franchise since The Dark Knight. In my opinion. I think this is wonderful filmmaking at its best. I think that Reeves did a fantastic job of directing the film.
Where Reeves, I mean, did Cloverfield, of course, and a couple other pictures.
Very known for that film.
But I mean, nothing on this caliber, especially with this intricacy.
No way.
The layers of the script here are fantastic, and I did want to touch on that a little bit, if you don't mind.
Do it.
I was really afraid from watching the trailers, especially like the trailer we watched here, and most of the other trailers, they kind of paint this picture of the apes are going to be the good guys and the humans are going to be the bad guys, and it's kind of paints a black and white picture, which I didn't like, and that's what I went into the film expecting, and I got something completely different.
I agree.
Both factions, you know, the apes and the humans, they are very, very rich and very, very layered. You know, there's good, there's bad, you know, and there's just such a range that both, you know, reach throughout the film, and I really got a lot more than I expected out of this film as well.
I totally agree with that. I mean, the film starts off with, we're about 10 years after the virus hits. And
most of humanity, one in 500.
1 in 500.
Yeah,
the film states 1 in 500 humans lives.
Yeah.
So it's humans desperately seeking to regain back to where they were, or at least a normal living. And the apes are, of course, in the wild, just living in a humble fashion in their own world, and very well off, mind you. The film starts off in a very impressive sequence with Caesar running the group of apes. He's the leader of the clan, and they're hunting elk, and it's just stunning sequence. The action in this movie couldn't be any more impressive. When the humans come into play into the film, it's actually a great dynamic. Jason Clarke did a fantastic job here. Kerry Russell, as little of a role as she's in. I mean, everyone here, as far as the human characters, are great. I actually just found that I was surprised that Gary Oldman's is such a small character in the movie.
Especially being featured so heavily in the trailers. The trailers are very misleading for this film.
It's money.
Oh, definitely money. And the trailers are very misleading for this film. Like I said, they paint this picture of black and white, humans bad, apes good, and you go into the film, and there's a lot of depth.
A lot of
to both
so many
sides.
undertones.
There's so much more to this film than just humans bad, apes good. It's absolutely fantastic. And to touch on Russell, wasn't a fan of the fact that she was crying the first hour and a half she was on screen. Every scene she was in. That was a little nitpick of mine. I'm sorry, it was. And also, I thought it worked. It was effective, but the film is kind of violent too.
It is very
effectively
violent, yeah.
so. effectively so. It needed to be for the parts that it was, but I liked that.
Well, that makes me want to touch on the fact that the main villain in the film isn't actually a human villain, it's an ape. His name is Koba.
Koba.
And Koba is a character that Caesar freed in the first film. He was an ape that was tortured by humans. He was experimented upon. He's got lots of scars to prove it. He looks it. And he's great. He's a follower of Caesar as the film starts, and as the film goes on and the story moves upon him, he starts taking on his own persona of wanting to take it into his own hands. He's sick of Caesar opening up to the humans. He thinks that Caesar loves the humans more than the apes, and he wants to take it in his own hands and just basically, spoiler alert, attack the humans, and he wants the apes to take over the human civilization altogether.
Yeah. He absolutely does. And to touch on that briefly, I had mentioned before when we were talking about the film how tragic this film is. It's a very it's Shakespearean in a way, to get my literary nerd hat on here. There is this tragic fall that both the apes and the humans have in this film that ends up leading them into war. And you have a character like Caesar, you have a character like Malcolm, Clark's character, who are, you know, they're peaceful guys, they're good guys.
But they're desperate.
You know, but they're desperate, and there's a lot of fear, and there's a lot of uncertainty, and there's a lot of, you know, of passion, I guess, in both sides that really, you know, ends up plunging them headlong into this conflict, which I guess we're going to end up seeing in the sequel, which has already been greenlit.
Basically, we already know that it's going to end in war.
We already know how it's going to end anyway. I mean, the apes
even
take
before
over
the film
planet.
starts.
Yeah.
I mean, but the point being is that, you know, it's inevitable. And the way that they go on to that is that Caesar even says it. War is going to happen. Get out while you can, when he tells Jason Clarke's character to get out. Basically, they become very good friends in the movie. He begins to learn again to trust humans after the events of the first film in Rise, because his love for James Franco's character. The film ends. You already know. I don't want to ruin it all for you, but I highly recommend seeing it because everything in this film is shot amazingly.
Some of the comparisons that I've seen, to not to jump in there too quick, but some of the comparisons I've seen from reviews have compared it to The Empire Strikes Back, and it ends on that kind of note. Like, you remember the weight, just the absolute, like, just power of the ending of The Empire Strikes Back, and like how much the next installment kind of loomed. I think that's the same power that the end of Dawn really has on this franchise, and what now we're going to expect out of a sequel. I want to go straight into ratings now. I want to know, what do you think of the film? Just give it a score.
It really was hard for me to find anything about this movie that I did not like.
I had to nitpick.
I had to sit for a while, and this is our first review, mind you, that we actually did an hour or two after we saw the movie. I was so enthused, we just said, let's do it. This is tied right now for my #1 film of the summer. It's smart. The writing's great, the direction is great, the performances are great. There's not much for me to dislike here. There's nothing at all. I'm going to give the film a 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10. And I'm going to jump right off of that. And hey, Lawrence Bonaventura and Michael Bay, who were bashing critics who thought they didn't understand films after that, you know, travesty that was Age of Extinction. This is what a summer blockbuster should be. Very smart. Very well written, very well layered. CG was incredible.
I can't say enough about that.
Way beyond anything in Transformers,
the best CG that I have ever seen.
It was
I can't say that enough. I really cannot.
Incredible, especially how well they took, as I said before, Circus's performance out of the mocap, and
even aside from Circus, the other actors that did the mocap in the film as well.
Yeah,
they played Maurice, that played all the other apes in the film. Blue Eyes, you name it, they were all
absolutely
wonderful.
Can't say enough good things. This is what a summer blockbuster should be like. Smart action, but it can still have a good script, it can still have great performances, and I'm jumping right in there with you.
Let's hear it. What's your rating? What's your rating?
This is tied for my #1 of the year with X-Men, 9 out of 10. I loved this film. It was fantastic. Terrific. One might even say.
It's our new word, terrific.
That's our new word. We're abandoning fantastic after this review, I promise.
Even though you didn't notice, though. You were supposed to notice, but we said it in one of our reviews like 100 times.
It wasn't that Maleficent piece of trash, was it? No,
it wasn't
film.
that, and it was not that Age of Extinction that we just saw last week. Thank you, movie gods, for giving me something this amazing and smart.
This was incredible.
This really does bring me back to the days of, you mentioned The Empire Strikes Back. In my opinion, like I said, this is the best sequel to a franchise since The Dark Knight.
The depth and the poetry in this script, and the way that some of those scenes were shot, like the battle scene with the apes and the humans, when Koba leads the apes in, and how Reeves just cuts out the sound and just lets Michael Giacchino's score just play over the whole thing. And it's such a sad,
is one great thing as well that I wanted to touch on real quick.
It's such a sad score, but it's so powerful.
The score is powerful, and when the film starts, it has undertones of the original film series. For all you hardcore fans, this is the one thing I want to throw out there. He mentioned he's not a fan of the old series. I'm not as hardcore as you guys are, but I grew up watching it. If you're a fan of the old series, you'll love this. If you're not a fan of the old series, you'll still love this. If you're just a general moviegoer, you'll still enjoy it a lot. It's still a great time. So
it absolutely is.
Go see this movie. It's one of the best of the summer, if not the best.
I'm going to
film
see
of the
it again
summer.
this weekend.
I'll definitely see it a second time. Real quick though, while we have the time, we had a huge deal on our Facebook page where we had you, the fans.
A lot of support, a lot of new members, and we just wanted to give a shout out here quick to some of our top contributors and those people who helped us get over the 500 hump. And we want to thank all of our fans. We do this for you.
This is a shout out
every single time.
We want everything that you have to say involved in this. We're all about what you have to say. We do this for you. Why don't you start off on the list there, Nick, on our shout outs real quick.
I do have a card.
Get these names
it's
out
upside down. I'm sorry about that. I'm going to give a shout out to Jeff Miller, Patrick Sherwood, Ruel Cisneros, and Summer Day. And then
we've got Alex Miranda Jr., my good buddy Doug Walsh, and Chris Brayman. Those two guys at the end there, they've been with me the whole way. They know what it's all about, and we give them props. Another real quick shout out to our new sponsor, Upstate Merch. We want to throw that out there. I know, Dylan, you haven't seen Dawn yet because you didn't go yet. So go see it.
But you will.
But you will. Go see the movie. This is Epic Film Guys, Justin.
And Nick.
Go see the new Planet of the Apes movie in the theater and come see us again. Next week we have the new Hercules movie with The Rock and the new Scarlett Johansson movie, Lucy, on our listing. We will be reviewing those films as well.
I'm a little more Lucy and a lot less Hercules, only because of the Ratner effect.
I'll be on both just because we want you guys to see everything. Again, Epic Film Guys here, and we are out.
Thanks, guys.